Welcome back to the Pesky Report. This is episode 478 of the Pesky Report, brought to you by Beyond the Monster. My name is Derek, and I'm here with Jake and Hunter for your minor league show. And we have a lot to discuss. We have a lot on our minds. So first things first, why is Roman Anthony not the big? I'm joking. We're not doing that. But we are going to talk about Roman Anthony. We might somewhat cover that question. First things first, though, I do want to hand it over to Jake. How are you doing? And then also to well, let's talk about Roman Anthony. Let's have a discussion. We're going to provoke our actual thoughts on this because we've been seeing a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And we figured since we're the minor league show, we're the right people to talk about it.
That is kind of the question of why hasn't Roman Anthony been called up. That is literally kind of what we were going to talk about. Before we get into that, I did just want to give folks a little bit of a slight personal detour here for a second. I want to preface this by saying that I'm doing okay. If folks have listened to this channel listen to the podcast, see, I'm all messed up because I have this YouTube channel, that kind of thing, whatever. People listen to the podcast for a while. You remember, if you listened to last year, that I missed the whole month of September last year because I was very sick. And I had surgery, and I back then we kind of knew that there was going to be another surgery coming for me. And so that surgery is happening this week. So it's all planned. It's all been in the works for months, that kind of thing. I will definitely not be on next week's show. I will probably not be on the week after, and we'll kind of see where things go after that. So I did just want folks to know you'll just be Derek and Hunter for probably the next couple of weeks. They'll hold down the fort without me.
Sorry in advance.
But I just want everybody to know, like, I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. It is kind of a major surgery that I'm having, but, I will be watching things from afar, and Derek and Hunter will hold down the fort while I'm out. So, just wanted to let people know that off the top. Okay, so as
Derek
far as
our Yap sessions incoming,
as far as Roman Anthony goes, this was from back on, what day was it? It was last Wednesday. So it was a while ago.
Yeah, it was like right after we recorded, because it was like, damn it, we have to wait like a whole week.
So there was an article in the Globe by Alex Spear, and there's some aggregation around it, and I'm reading from our friend Boston Sports Gordo's aggregation of a quote that Alex Spear got from Craig Breslow to that question of why hasn't Roman Anthony been called up yet. And his answer was, this was the quote: "There are a few development opportunities that we want to make sure we lock in. Those are things the minor league schedule and training environment afford. He does all these things well, but that doesn't mean there's not a chance to try to improve. It kind of sounds a bit like we're overly scrutinizing the performance, but he has really high demands of himself." So there's a lot of issues. I know that there's one particular part of that quote that Hunter, I know, wants to talk about. But I will just say that, like, I feel like the Red Sox are in a little bit of a tough spot, right? Because, like, but it's a tough spot of their own making in a lot of ways. There's been a lot of questions out there about, are they manipulating his service time? Do they want him to not come up to the big leagues so that he can't possibly win the Rookie of the Year and get that extra year of service time? Does it have something to do with the Super 2 deadline, which I think that's the biggest load of BS of all of this stuff? Like, that does not matter, in my opinion, at all, not one iota. The Rookie of the Year thing makes more sense to me, but it is certainly now been lessened by the fact that the Royals have called up Jack Caglione, and it makes it so that that's somebody else, along with Jacob Wilson, like legitimate MVP, or not MVP, but Rookie of the Year candidates for the rest of the year in the American League. But I just think that there's just a lack of consistency publicly. And again, they can't, if they're really holding down his service time, obviously they can't say that. That's not something that they can say publicly. But I just think, like, the idea of, like, there's a few development opportunities we want to make sure we lock in. Like, it doesn't hold water when you watch him play. It doesn't make sense. Like, okay, so this past week, Roman Anthony didn't have, like, the greatest week. He only hit like 185 for the week. He still hit a home run. Like, he still is, driving the ball. His swing decisions are great. He is incredible. Like, what are the things that you could maybe knock him for a little bit? Like, maybe he takes too many pitches. Like, that's, he doesn't swing at pitches in the zone as much. Like, okay, like, but if you told me, like, if it seems like the only way he's going to come up is if somebody gets hurt. Like, there doesn't seem like there's an actual plan. And it seems like to me, so do you mean to tell me that if there's an outfield version of the injury that Alex Bregman had, that Roman Anthony wouldn't come up, that they wouldn't be like, because I think that it's like very obvious that Marcelo Meyer had things he had to work on too, and things that he wasn't necessarily great at. And it's like, they have to balance the idea of like, there's going to be development in the minors versus development at the big leagues. And we're seeing it with Meyer. Like, Meyer has not been amazing with the bat. He's looked great at third base. He's made some amazing plays, but like, you can tell with Meyer, like, he has a little bit of trouble with off-speed stuff in the big league so far. He's tonight we're recording this at 6 Eastern time, so he's not in the lineup against a lefty tonight. So it's like they're kind of not even like going in that direction at the moment with him. And we've seen it with Christian Campbell, like that there is continuing some struggles there. So I guess my question is like, it's inconsistent. Like, how can you justify keeping him in the big league or keeping him in the minors from a development standpoint when you haven't done that with other guys? Like, that to me is the thing that bugged me a little bit. But I know, Hunter, there was stuff that bugged you in that statement too.
Not only did they not do that with other guys, they're throwing people into the fire. Like, obviously they've backtracked on the whole Christian Campbell playing first base thing, but like, they're putting people in positions they've never played before. Marcelo Meyer's the everyday third baseman now. And he had like 40 innings at third base. Like, it's not like, so it's just an absurd take. But the thing that I'm going to try to keep this as PG as possible, because I know like my grandfather listens and he doesn't want to hear me going crazy. But the part that just really pissed me off was it kind of sounds a bit like we're overly scrutinizing the performance, but he has a really high demand. He has really high demands of himself. So like you said, I get it. They can't just come out and say, we're doing this to manipulate service time. Like, they would get in just a ridiculous amount of trouble. Everybody and their mom knows that's what they're doing. The commissioner knows that's what they're doing. Every other team knows that's what they're doing. Roman Anthony knows that's what they're doing. But as long as they don't say it, there's nothing you can do about it. So I get that. If you want to lie to us and tell us like, oh, we think he needs to work on hitting curveballs. Oh, his defense isn't as far along as we hoped it would be, which that's another thing. It's like the front office fake information train has gone out there. And I've seen people be like, oh, it's because Roman Anthony is one of the worst defensive. And it's like, no, he's not. He's a good defensive outfielder. He's not perfect. He's not Cedar Rafaela or even someone like Yastinson Garcia, who is very highly praised for his defense. But he's a very good outfielder, and I think he would do a phenomenal job in left field at Fenway Park. Has really high demands of himself is what really bothered me. Craig Breslow is an absolute coward for that line. It absurd. You are literally trying to tell fans and whoever else that you're basically saying, hey, it's Roman Anthony's idea that he doesn't want to be up. Roman Anthony's saying he needs to work on things and he doesn't want to hurt the team. Get the F out of here. That's just so ridiculous. He's literally telling people, like, to me, that quote reads as, well, we were going to call him up and we told Roman Anthony and he picked up the phone. He was like, actually, I'm not hitting good enough against sliders on 0-2 counts. Keep me down here for another week. Eat shit, Craig Breslow. That is so absurd. Like, just, again, I know you can't come out and say this is what we're doing, but don't put it on the 21-year-old kid who has been the best prospect in the minor leagues, who scouts from different teams have said, this is the best prospect I've ever seen, who Chris Cotillo had that quote from like an AL evaluator. I have no idea what that is, but an AL evaluator who said like, this is embarrassing. Like, people literally think it's pathetic by the Red Sox that they're struggling and the best prospect in the world is sitting in the minor leagues, hitting over 300, doing everything you could ask for. And I'm not even one of those people that's like, he should 1 billion% be up today. I understand that they're doing it for service time manipulations. I understand that they have a log jam in the outfield, and it would be like, if you're calling him up, he has to play every day, and someone else isn't going to play every day. And, all of a sudden, Cedar Rafaela is in a utility role when he's been the best defensive outfielder in the world. And that's not even hyperbole. That is metrics. Like, there are some elite outfielders in the world. Pete Crow Armstrong, Michael Harris, who we just saw play phenomenal center field again when the Red Sox had that series against the Braves. Cedar Rafaela has like a 4 DRS better than them. Like, he is just far and away the best defensive outfielder in the world. Like it's hard to justify all of a sudden having him play once or twice a week. And the bat hasn't been nearly as bad. I know it hasn't been great. He still swings too much. He had some really good plate appearances earlier in the week. Jarren Duran's been struggling. It's really hard to justify doing anything with him when we've seen how good he is when he gets going. Willie Abreu's been struggling. He's still a really good defensive outfielder who already has like 12 home runs on the year, and his arm strength is ridiculous. And like, until you move one of those guys, which that's something we might talk about later with the Padres discussing, apparently there's reports that the Padres want Jarren Duran, which the big thing I would say with that is until the Red Sox express interest, it doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, the Padres want him, but unless they're going to grossly overpay, like the Rise is really like the only prospect they have that's an overpay. They've ruined Ethan Salas. I still think he's very good. I would like having him in the farm system, but they have so severely destroyed his trade potential with what they've done with him, making him play at levels way higher than he should be. And all of a sudden he's hitting 170 and, but like until the Red Sox express interest, that really doesn't mean much to me. Cool. A lot of teams would probably like to have Jarren Duran on their team. So until they make a move, they're in a very weird spot. And again, like, unless there's a Bregman type injury where someone's going to be out for a while, there's these holes. I get that. There's these issues with calling him up, but just be a man and say it's on you guys. Nut up and say like, hey, this is like, we want him to develop more. Again, I know you're not going to say we are trying to squeeze an extra year out of him, but say we want him to develop more on this. We want to do this. Even just come out and say, hey, there's a logjam. He won't play every day. We want him to get everyday reps. That is, I think, the thing that would be most palatable to people hearing is like, hey, there's nowhere to put him right now. It sucks, but that's just the truth. If he was a third baseman or a shortstop or a first baseman, sure, he'd be up, but he's not. Like, it's just there's a logjam. Just tell people that. But trying to say that Roman Anthony is the one deciding he doesn't want to be up is one of the weakest moves I've ever seen from a GM. And Craig Breslow has been getting crapped on a lot lately. He had a very good offseason, but people say like, oh, it was incomplete because he didn't fix this logjam. He didn't do enough with the bullpen. And then I think this has been the biggest issue is people don't like the way he communicates. They feel like he is another Chaim Bloom, but less personable. Like Chaim Bloom came out. I know I'm not trying to start a war. There was a Chaim Bloom versus Dave Dombrowski argument on Twitter the other day. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Neither of them have been with the organization for years. But like, despite all the criticisms of Chaim Bloom, that was something people always praised was he would go on podcasts, he would do interviews, and he would say like, this is on me. This is what I want to do. He would let other people talk. Craig Breslow, it's really just been like quote here or every once in a while where it's basically him trying to tell people like, I'm smarter than everyone else. This is what we're doing. And it's just, it's bothered people. And then he comes out and does stuff like this where he's trying to put the blame on a 21-year-old for not being called up yet. And that's just, again, you can put the quote unquote blame on him if you're saying he needs to improve in this, that, and the other thing. There's a logjam, whatever it is. But telling people that Roman Anthony feels he's not ready to be called up is the most absurd thing in the world. Because I guarantee you, he believes in his heart of heart that he should be up in the majors right now. And that's not a cocky thing. It's the same thing we saw with Marcelo Meyer. At the end of spring training, he said, I feel like I should have made the team because he had a ridiculous spring training and he was phenomenal. And it took him not even 2 months to get called up to the majors. Roman Anthony had like a not as good spring, but he was like the best of the big three. By the end of the spring, he was playing the best. And like, I guarantee you, he was thinking like, I should be on the major league roster. And that's not him knocking anyone else or anything. It's just, I'm this good. I should be here. So just to put that on Roman Anthony was one of the most absurd things in the world. And it's one of those things I've been stewing on for 5-6 days now. So I'm very happy I got to yell at Craig Breslow for 5 minutes.
I will just say, I think too, Meyer being called up, although obviously that was due to injury with Bregman, does also kind of fuel the fire of why isn't Roman being called up. I don't even remember when, but I feel like I was a while ago. I called Meyer making his debut, and it was going to be at third base somehow. I don't know why. I just had a feeling. Because, and I also too, I just did a little bit of digging. Bogarts played 10 games at third base before he first got called up to the big leagues to play third base in 2013. Meyer played like 4 games at third base. I just thought that was kind of funny. But no, I think with Roman too, you also have to kind of look at
he was playing third because of Stephen Drew, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of Stephen Drew.
Yes.
It's because of Stephen Drew. Oh boy. And they won the World Series that year, so it ended up working out, I guess.
It worked out. Yeah.
But no, but the thing with Roman too is the logjam really is the issue, because I think the thing that a lot of people are also forgetting is the team basically told us since spring training, Cedon's a center fielder. Like, he's not a guy who can play outfield and can play multiple positions. No, he's a center fielder. That's basically what they've told us. That's been pretty much the messaging the entire spring. I don't know. I mean, with the amount of things that have seemingly changed, that very well could change. But that seems like the one thing they actually won't change. I mean, at this point, I could see them trying to put Yoshida at first base, considering all the moving around that they're trying to do. But it feels like the one thing they are adamant on is Cedon playing center field. And with how good his defense has been, it seems stupid to move him. And if that's the case, you're not moving Duran or Willie or either. So you're kind of like, the logjam is like a legitimate reason.
I know I'm like the big Cedon guy in the world, but his bat has been better than multiple people in the starting lineup, and it hasn't been much worse than most other people, sans like Carlos Narvaez and Alex Bregman, obviously. But like, going through the numbers, it's like you could argue he's been better than Christian Campbell. He's been better than Trevor Story. He's been much better than Connor Wong. He hasn't been that much worse than Jarren
Everyone's
Duran
been better
or
than
Willie
Connor
Gray.
Wong. I've been better than Connor Wong.
That's fair. But like, it's absurd that people continue to get mad. I get it. The at-bats are ugly sometimes. Getting mad at the 9-hole hitter when the offense is struggling is so ridiculous to me. It's like, how about you get mad at the 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hitters who went a combined 2 for 13, and both of those hits were Carlos Narvaez. You can't get mad at Rafael Devers. He was possibly the best hitter in the world in May, counting Aaron Judge. So I get not getting mad at him, but that's just getting ridiculous to me. I know we're a minor league show, but that's been bothering me.
Yeah, no, Rafael in his last 35 games. Are everyone ready for this? So last 35 games, 256 average, 289 on base, 38 slugging. So 677 OPS. It's not amazing, but like,
for the best defensive center fielder in the world, like Hunter was saying, like, you take it 10 times out of 10. Like, if he could do that over a whole season, that's amazing.
Yes.
I'll take a 256 average, even if it's like a sub 3 on base percentage from that guy. Like, just put the ball in play. Like, don't strike out a lot. Like, there's
a reason they extended him.
He's young. Like, I go back and forth on Rafaela a lot. I think that ultimately, yeah. So you mentioned the Duran thing, like, as far as trading for a guy goes, I think maybe we talk about that a little bit now. Like, it's the Red Sox are the ones that have the leverage here because they have the player that the Padres want. I know that obviously it's like a natural fit that the Red Sox would, be looking to trade Duran, and maybe they do trade him this year if the right deal comes along. But I don't really think that the Padres are the right match. I think if I'm the Red Sox, if I'm Craig Breslow, I want to get something that's going to fill a hole at the major league level. So to me, that's like, is it first base? Is it more starting pitching that you can plug in? Is it like multiple bullpen arms? Like, what can you extract for that guy? The Padres are going for it. They're trying to win. I've seen people throw out the name Michael King a lot. That doesn't make any sense. Number one, he's hurt. Number two, they're trying to win. He's a free agent after this year, right? So like, that doesn't make sense to me. I still think that Seattle would make a lot of sense for Duran, and there's a few other teams too. But like,
I have a really bad idea.
Okay, well, we'll get to your bad idea in a second. We get, let me get my good idea out first, and or maybe actually you should say your bad idea first. So then my good idea
would be better.
My good idea. The Dodgers. I mean, hey, that's interesting. Dalton Rushing, maybe like
don't throw anything at me.
Makes sense. No, but I was gonna say like the DeVries is a great prospect for sure. He's like a year younger than Franklin Arias, but like it's maybe not a too dissimilar of a profile. And he's at high A, I think, right now. So
he's at the same level as Franklin Arias, not performing nearly as well.
So the question is, like, if you're the Red Sox, it's like, what do you do with that? Like, is he, like, I've seen some people suggest, yes, get DeVries and then flip him someplace else for a pitcher. Like, okay, that's fine. I just don't know realistically that's, I guess that is kind of what, we've seen versions of that. We've seen that with, who was it that the pitcher that the Yankees traded for Soto? Who am I thinking?
It wasn't Michael King?
Was it Michael King?
I thought so.
But I thought, wasn't there somebody in the minor leagues that they traded
Drew
to?
Thorpe. Was it
Drew Thorpe? So that's like that's a guy that kind of got flipped around a little bit, right? Like he goes to the White Sox, right? For
Cease.
For Cease. So yeah, that's who I was thinking of. So that's the type of thing that could happen. I just, like, you look at the Red Sox minor league system, and it's like, how many more of, and I'm not saying that, like, you shouldn't do this if that's, like, the best guy that you can get, but, like, I just think, like, it's so much more likely to me that they would try to flip Duran for somebody at the major league level who can help them at a position of need that maybe has similar service time left. Like, that's the sweet spot to me. And to me, if I was the Red Sox, I would still be trying to get one of those starters from the Mariners for Duran as part of a deal. But yeah, DeVries is a great prospect. I agree with you, Salas. He's very interesting. I don't think he's, like, ruined necessarily, but obviously, like, they pushed him to Double-A way before he was ready. Their eyes got too big on that. So I don't know. I mean, you take a stud catcher anytime you can get your hands on them, but yeah, the Duran thing is interesting. I just think it's, like, very early to even talk about it.
I should have said I feel like they've ruined his, like, trade stock, because people are going to point to, yeah, this is a good prospect. He's good defensively and everything. He hasn't hit over, like, 220 in 3 years because you keep pushing him too far. So, like, I feel like that's what teams will say. I feel like the best route here is to use the Padres as leverage. Other teams, if you're trading Jarren Duran, other teams will want him, and you could be like, hey, the Padres want him, and they're offering us, let's say they offer you DeVries, they're offering him up. Like, what are you going to give us better than, what is he, like, the number 3 prospect in baseball or something ridiculous? Yeah. Like, what are you giving us better than that? So, like, that, I feel like that's where it will help them. And then they can maybe get, a genuine good starter and a decent prospect, or, like, a really good bullpen arm and 2 good prospects or something. I feel like that's the best course of action. And then if he's the best option and you really are, like, hell-bent on trading Jarren Duran, you can make that move, maybe get them to throw in something else. Because it's whoever ends up taking him is going to be desperate. I saw a lot of Padres fans like, oh, that's such an oversell. Yeah, you're asking for him. If the trade happened today, you're asking for him on June 2nd. You're going to have to overpay a lot. Like, it's not the trade deadline. You're going to have to overpay a lot. And I saw someone say, like, oh, he's offered $8 million next year. He's not playing up to that. $8 million is not a lot of money in baseball terms. Like, he is playing up to that. He struggled. He's not playing nearly as well as people had hoped. He's not playing nearly as well as he did last year, but, like, he's playing decently enough. He still gives you ridiculous speed, good defense. Like, a team will want him, and he has 2.5 years of control left technically. Like, you're going to get a lot for him. So whoever gets him, if he is traded, is going to overpay, which is great news for the Red Sox, because not only are they then getting an overpay, but they're freeing up that spot for Roman Anthony.
I'll also add too, like, can we just, like, get Dave Nebraska to just give us all the Phillies prospects?
That's a fit too, potentially.
And we know.
Also too, I was thinking of that because, like, they're not going to trade. I highly doubt they'll trade Painter, but, like, Mick Abel's just sitting there, like, and I know hasn't really been in the big leagues a ton, but, like, that's an arm who's arguably big league ready. And you could probably get Abel plus pieces, right? So something like that also, or I was also wondering too, I'm like, because I was looking around, I'm like, who are teams who are fits for Duran and also have enough to trade for him? There's not that many. And then the teams that are good, they're not really going to want to trade big league pieces most likely for him. So you kind of run into a thing of, like, okay, what makes sense? And then I started looking around, and I'm like, okay, this is probably an off-season thing, 1. And 2, even if it is an off-season thing, like, are the Red Sox going to price themselves out of trading Duran if they ask for too much? Like, there's also that possibility. And then that also makes me think, it's like, okay, is Willier the one to go? It's a whole lot of just moving parts, but I think they will find a spot for Roman at some point. Somehow, some way, something will happen. There will be a spot at some point. But I think it's just patience and just wait a little bit on it. Other thing we do want to talk about for sure is Blaze Jordan. Finally, and I say finally because it feels like it's been time for like the last month. Blaze Jordan finally gets promoted to Worcester. We've been on about it for over a month, I think, at this point. It's been insane. I'll give it to you, Hunter. What are your thoughts on Blaze Jordan getting promoted to Worcester?
Finally. I mean, I get it. You can't just call people up willy-nilly. Like, there's things you got to deal with. But, I mean, I don't know what else he could have done. 7 for 16 with a pair of doubles, a homer this week. He hit, I forget what it is, something. I think it was like 390. I think he had like a 390, 490, 600 something slash line in May. He led Portland in average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, doubles, homers, RBIs, and runs scored. He was 3 for 3 in stolen base attempts, 22 walks compared to 19 strikeouts, which was already 4 more walks than he had all of last year. Like, everything trending up. He's getting more loft on the ball. So like all 6 of his home runs came in May, which apparently was something they were working on with him was he's always hit the ball really hard, but getting more loft on the ball, getting more of a better launch angle, which is not dissimilar to what they worked on with Roman Anthony a couple years ago was, hey, you hit the ball really hard, but everything's on the ground. Pick that up a little bit. And then bam, he became one of the best prospects in the world. I'm not saying Blaze Jordan has become one of the best prospects in the world, but he has been the best hitting prospect in the world in the month of May. He was that. So it was getting really frustrating. It was fun to see because when I first tweeted out at the start of the month, at the start of May, like, hey, Blaze Jordan should get promoted to AAA and then give him a month, call him up to the majors because the Red Sox need a first baseman. When I first tweeted that out, there was a lot of like, this guy's a dumbass. Thank God. Literally people were tweeting like, thank God you don't run the team, blah, blah, blah. And it was really fun watching as the month went on, seeing a lot of people, including some of those people who tweeted those things saying like, why isn't Blaze Jordan in AAA? What's going on? Why aren't they calling him up? And it's like, I get it. At the time when I tweeted that, his numbers weren't that good. I do not at all try to pretend like I know everything. I'm an idiot who just watches all the games. But that's the thing is I watch all the games. You can see when things are clicking for someone, and sometimes maybe it's just not translating to the numbers. But you would watch, and it was like all his at-bats were good. He was having like 8 pitch at-bats that ended on 108 mile an hour line out. And it's like, that's a hell of an at-bat. It ended in nothing for him. And he was doing a lot of that. He was drawing long at-bats. He was hitting the ball really hard. It just wasn't always landing. It was, you could see like everything clicking together. So it was like, that's where that came from me. I wasn't just saying it because I like Blaze Jordan. I was saying it because clearly he had figured things out and he had been in AA for so long. And it felt like it was time to throw him up to AAA and see if it worked like they ended up doing with Nick York. I know, obviously we've talked about this before. He probably should have started the year in AAA, but then he started in AA and then he struggled in AA, but they still called him up because he was doing things right. And that's how it felt with Blaze Jordan for me. It was like, he's been there for so long. He's clearly doing everything right. And the bigger thing was they didn't have a first baseman. Again, they just abandoned the Christian Campbell to first base thing because Romy Gonzalez is coming back. And because Abraham Toro has been much better than anyone expected him to be. Now, how long is that going to last for? Who knows? The guy still hasn't even drawn a walk in the majors. It's funny every time you look at his numbers and it's like he's hitting 286 and it's like, oh, that's really good. And then he also has a 286 on base percentage. But he's been fantastic. But this is also a guy who's like a career 240 hitter in the majors. And so how long is that going to continue? But it was getting increasingly more frustrating seeing the Red Sox not have a plan for first base. And it was like, you have a guy who has been, again, genuinely the best hitter all of May in minor league baseball. He was winning hitter of the week like 2 or 3 times. Even when he wasn't winning it, like this week, he didn't win it. He went 7 for 16 again with 2 doubles, a homer. He drew more walks than he struck out. Like everything was phenomenal. So you have someone who can be an option for this year and then for the foreseeable future. Because again, it doesn't seem like Tristan Casas is going to really be in Boston much longer. Like, is he going to be healthy to even start next year? And then when he is, he's going to have to prove himself. Like, he was not good this year, and then he gets this bad injury. They're going to want to see that he can figure things out. Maybe they sell him really cheap this offseason for something. But it, like, best case scenario with Tristan Casas, you're hoping he can prove himself in spring training / early next year whenever he's ready. Blaze Jordan gives you a potential answer at first base for this year and for the next 15 years. So it was getting more and more annoying watching him dominate AA while AAA had, 3 different people playing first, including Ryan Noda, who they just picked up, who has like a career 200 batting average in the majors, and Nathan Hickey, who's been good and bad at times this year. And, Abraham Toro was playing there at one point. Vaughn Grisham gets like 1 game every 10 days there. So it was like they don't have a plan at first base. And then they have this guy playing first base 4 or 5 times a week in AA, playing phenomenal defense. He made a play this week where Mikey Romero made a good play at third base and he threw it well off the bag, and Blaze Jordan like jumped up, caught it, and in midair like turned around and tugged the guy. Like he saves errors, which is a big thing that you don't see a lot in the minor leagues with first basemen. So it's this guy that's doing every possible thing right, not getting promoted. And it was like, you call him up and now all of a sudden he's a step away. If something happens, if you still need a first baseman in a month, now you have a guy who's gotten a month of AAA pitching and maybe you feel he's ready. And if he's not, that's fine. But at least now So it was just, it's a long, frustrating road, but it was awesome to see him finally get that promotion. And they play in Lehigh Valley next week, so I'll get to ask him about it. But
yeah, I do want to actually just circle back for half a second, because we were talking about Roman Anthony. We didn't mention Masataka Yoshida, who's apparently alive. So nice, he's alive! Yay! That's nice to hear. But they also want him to play outfield. Just maybe they're gonna play with 4 outfielders. I don't know. Have 10 guys in the lineup. Maybe
see if anyone notices if there's like 6 people in the outfield. See how long.
Yeah, it was.
But no, it's great for Blaze Jordan to finally be called up. I think it's definitely been a little bit overdue. Obviously, them bringing in a guy like Noda, makes sense, right? Considering if something were to happen to Toro, for example, you need someone, and at least having someone with big league experience there is nice, because if hypothetically Romy goes down and then Toro, something happens, they were really sucked to might have legitimately been Campbell playing first base, or you get a random a Nathan Hickey call up, because who else is there, right? Or even arguably even worse, Connor Wong plays first base, which now your backup catcher's playing first base. Now who's your backup catcher? There's that issue as well. So it will be good to get Blaze into AAA. Obviously, we've seen the stretch someone like Justin Garcia's gone on since moving to AAA, and you start to think, okay, can Blaze have a similar run? We saw it with Nick York when Nick York got moved up to AAA, right? So we've seen guys get hot when they move up to Worcester. How much of that has to do with Worcester being hitter friendly? Don't know. But it, at the very least, it wouldn't shock me if Blaze goes up to AAA, continues to stay hot, and gets even hotter potentially. And he should have plenty of playing time. I know Nate Eaton, we talked about, he's starting to play a little bit shortstop, so there's also that. So third base can very well be opened up for Blaze if they need to play him at third. I would assume they're going to play him at first. But, with Noda there, with Vaughn Grissom occasionally getting games at first, and Nathan Hickey still being there, it wouldn't shock me. Maybe Blaze gets a couple games at third here and there, just because they're with Meyer being called up, and there's not, and Nate now playing shortstop. There's, someone's got to go somewhere. Although Sogard being moved down is definitely Sogard definitely could play some third. I know also Vaughn Grissom could potentially play third, but we'll see how it all shakes out, how the playing time shakes out. But I think it's definitely been time for Blaze to get that call up.
Yeah, I mean, it's well over 700 plate appearances in Double A. It's just not, it doesn't. He forced his way up, like regardless of whatever maybe the Red Sox plans were or what they wanted to do, like just to have that month to for him to go 390 490 on base percentage, so almost half of his plate appearances he got on base in the whole and for an entire month. That's not a fluke. Like I know that we've seen good stretches from Blaze before, but we've never seen anything remotely like this from him, like in the whole time that he's been in the Red Sox system, going on like 5 years at this point. And there's always been weird stuff with him, and we've talked about it a lot, and it just like the most bizarre injuries are what happened to Blaze Jordan, like getting hit in the face, and all this stuff. And he just and it was so refreshing to me to see, like when he talked to Hunter, like how great his attitude always was with this. It was just like, I'm just wherever I am, and I'm gonna do my job and produce, and I can only do what I can do day to day. And I think like when you've kind of been through everything that Blaze has been through, and we've talked about this obviously, and he's been open about his struggles and on the field and off the field. And I think that's amazing perspective that he's probably had to learn, which is just like, I am where I am on any given day. And I think it was great. It was sort of great to see that, and great to like hear that from him. And it's great that he's getting this opportunity that he really deserves. I feel like the opportunity is there for him. Somebody asked me earlier, they said, could we see Blaze Jordan in the big leagues this year? And I said, if you asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have said no, probably no chance. But now he's opened that door. Like he's really cracked that door open. And especially we talked about injuries to guys like Tristan Casas and others. Like he could force his way into the conversation, definitely. And either one way or another, it's like the Red Sox could look at a situation where he is somebody that maybe another team would decide to take a shot on in the Rule 5 draft, just looking at his pedigree, looking at what he can do in the field. Just a guy that has really solid hit tool, like really solid hit ability. And then he mixes in this power that, again, he got drafted because of that power, but like we've seen him become more of a complete baseball player. And so I'm thrilled for him. And I think that, we're going to look at some maybe some train track shots from Blaze here coming up soon.
And like you said, even just last year alone, like 2 freak injuries. He had that like 20-game hitting streak, and then broke his thumb sliding into home plate, and then comes back, struggles for a little bit, starts to heat up. He's on like a 7-game hitting streak and gets hit with a fastball in the eye and misses like another month. Like we have seen, like you said, we've never seen this Blaze Jordan, but we've seen him show flashes at the Double-A level before. Like he crushed high A, and he went through that decently fast. And but we've seen flashes of him figuring things out at Double-A, and things always seem to stop him. And then finally this year, he's gotten the first 2 months of the season completely healthy, ready to go. And it took him a month, but he became easily the best hitter on the team, leading them in basically every single offensive category. It was triples and stolen bases were the only 2 he didn't lead in. So yeah, it's been time, and I'm happy to see it happen.
Yeah. The only thing I don't really have anything left for Worcester. Any topics in Worcester. I think the one thing we should talk about is a guy who had a really good performance this past week in David Sandlin. Obviously, complete game for him. Whichever one he wants to take it, I'll give it to Hunter, I guess, because Jake's on mute right now. So, what are your thoughts on Sandlin's stellar performance and getting pitcher of the week?
I do just have 2 quick notes on AAA. Stinson Garcia had another ridiculous week. He's hitting 391 at the level. He's already got 4 homers, which is more than he had in Double-A. He very much feels like someone who could force the Red Sox have too many outfielders conversation again, even after Roman Anthony gets called up. And then Brian Van Bell, 7 shutout innings this week. He's been phenomenal. We've talked about it before. It really feels like someone that will get a chance in the majors at some point this year. You always need somebody to make a spot start at some point. But yeah, David Sandlin struggled for the most part this year. And then last week he came out of the bullpen and threw 5 shutout innings. And then this week 7-inning complete game. It was a doubleheader, so it was only 7 innings. 7 innings complete game, no runs, 3 hits, 8 strikeouts, which was 1 less than his season high. Only walked 1 batter. I think he was at like 74 pitches or 82 pitches. I forget. I think he was at 73 going into the 7th, because I was like, oh, I wonder if they'll give him another inning. So I think he threw like 81 pitches or something like that. But just, this is the David Sandlin that the Red Sox were so excited about. You know, a big thing with him this year has been the stuff has ticked down as the start goes on. Like, he'll be throwing 98 in the first 2-3 innings, and then it starts to lower, and then the off-speed stuff doesn't look as sharp. And the last 2 times out, that has not been an issue for him. He's looked just as strong in the last inning he pitched as he did in the first. The ERA is down to 3.77. Home runs have been like the bigger issue for him. Obviously, he's given up none in his last 2 starts or his last 2 appearances, because he hasn't given up a run. 45 strikeouts compared to just 12 walks in 43 innings. That's something when he first came over here, that was like a big thing with him, was he doesn't walk a lot of people. And then we saw at the start of last year, he was walking a couple too many people, and that kind of got fixed as the year went on. Kind of feels like a similar situation this year. Not that the walks were ever out of control, but it was like he had a couple, 2-3 walk outings, and those are like completely gone at this point. Still just a very interesting case, because the Red Sox have a lot of good starting pitching prospects, and apparently he was supposed to come out of the bullpen this game too. And then when the one game got pushed back into a doubleheader, they were like, all right, he'll get 1 start and the other person will get 1. So obviously I can't speak for the organization or anything, but it felt like maybe they were going to start putting him in more of a relief role. And yeah, he was still going to get bulk innings probably, but maybe at some point that whittles down, because he does seem like a prime candidate for just like a disgusting 1 or 2 inning reliever, where it's just like, hey, go out there. You don't have to worry about the velo dipping. Go out there, throw 100 for 2 innings, have that disgusting slider that snaps. And, you really only have to have 1, 2, maybe 3 pitches, and you'll be dominant. And I feel like he's thrown a wrench in that plan, 5 shutout innings and then 7-inning complete game shutout. They're probably already thinking like, you know what? Let's throw him back in the starting rotation for a little bit, because this has been phenomenal. He gets the Eastern League pitcher of the week. Absolutely deserved. This is the best we've ever seen him in the Boston Red Sox organization. Obviously, this was the best start of his Red Sox tenure. Potentially the best start of his career. He had another 7 shutout innings at one point when he was on the Royals roster. Obviously, he didn't do it in Double-A though, which definitely gives the mark a little bit up. But yeah, just easily the best start of his Boston Red Sox career. Also found out that he is a fan of The Other Guys, which made me very happy. One of my favorite comedy movies of all time. So he gets a little extra bonus point from me there.
It is nice to see, like, some of these guys have some of the guys on the Red Sox in the minor league system and even the major leagues have kind of fun online personalities, and I feel like David is one of those guys. I've definitely I noticed Hunter Dobbins getting in the sort of giving like the grip check ratings, and that was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, Sandlin, just a guy that, like, if he can put it together as a starter, it's just so dangerous. Like, just the full ability that he has. And I know that Keith Law was just scouted the Red Sox, and obviously, we didn't really talk about this, or we haven't talked about this. That he ranked Franklin Arias in his top 10 prospects in the whole minor leagues right now. But he had seen David Sandlin, and he was sort of confused a little bit about his pitch mix in the game that he saw him throw. But I don't know, like, obviously in this last start, he had it all going. So I think, like, these guys take time. He's still like, getting his feet wet on the season. We have to remember it's still kind of early in the season. Guys are working through stuff. So maybe, some of the outings and also, like, Portland has had such a weird start to the season weather-wise, where literally, like, every it is in I can't speak for Maine, but in Massachusetts there has been measurable rain on like 13 consecutive Saturdays or something like that. So, like, you think about, like, the weather in the Northeast and how that's, like, thrown guys off. It's like, I almost feel like I'm not going to say this if a guy's been good, like a guy like Blaze Jordan's been amazing. Like we should totally read into that. But if a guy hasn't been good, you can just throw it out and say that it's the weather has been the issue. But yeah, Sandlin, most intriguing stuff, some of the most intriguing stuff on the whole system, and amazing to see him put it together. And it is a complete game. I don't want to hear anybody say that the 7-inning minor league games don't actually count as complete games,
especially in the minors. Like, you're never going to get a 9-inning complete game unless that guy throws 60 pitches. It's just not going to happen.
Complete game shutout. Like, it's give it to David Sandlin. Probably his best start as a professional, and certainly his best start in AA. And he's going to continue to push for the conversation to be added to the 40-man roster. If he's not already I don't be surprised if he's in the big leagues before the end of the year. If the Red Sox are like way out of it and they decide, it depends on obviously if he gets to Worcester, but he's somebody that I feel like he's a shoo-in to be added to the 40-man roster this offseason, because just a guy with his pitch repertoire, another team, a team like the Rockies or somebody like that could very easily look at him and be like, I'm going to pluck that guy out and put him in our bullpen all of next year. So,
I feel so bad for pitchers that get picked up by the Rockies. That must be so frustrating.
I love them willingly.
Go pitch at the worst possible place to pitch at.
Just the worst possible
willingly signing there as a pitcher.
Yeah.
If they throw enough money at me, I'll do it.
It has happened.
It's kind of death to your career, though. Yeah. Oh, let me go sign a 2-year deal with the Rockies.
Yeah, half your starts you're going to give up 17 home runs. Yeah.
It's going to be terrible. Imagine
but yeah, his
drafted by them.
His other 7-inning start was in high A it was in single A. It was against Salem, actually. 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. So he had 1 more strikeout, but he gave up 1 more hit, and it was in single A. So I'm going to say this start was better.
Yeah.
And it was with the Red Sox, not against the Red Sox. So definitely a better start.
Definitely better. No, definitely better. That's for sure. I do want to jump around a little bit here because we did have promotion news with oh god, I'm gonna butcher this. Y'all, I think you guys know where I'm going.
I actually don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Shay.
Oh my god!
Sprague,
oh my god!
Sprague.
You got it right, Sprague.
I'll figure it out.
This is like I can't. Okay. Again, I'm one to talk. I get people's names like wrong, like not say like the right name, but I feel like I get pronunciations right for the most part. Sprague is just not. It's not a difficult one, but whatever. So I guess I missed it. So he got promoted.
Yeah, to high A. He pitched too. Yeah, he had a really good.
He pitched. Yeah.
Did we talk about that last week? I don't think that.
No, he got promoted. I think like on Tuesday.
Yeah, on Tuesday. I think it was on Tuesday. Yeah, he went 3 1/3, only got 1 hit, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Solid first outing from in Greenville. Mm-hmm. I think that's I mean, we've been talking about it all year with him. Like, local kid, good good guy to root for. I mean, just add another lefty to the Greenville mix. I mean, can't you really complain? I guess. The interesting thing is, I do want to bring this up. So, according to his Sox process, he bats right-handed. Not that he's ever going to need to hit, but I always find it interesting when like you have pitchers who like throw lefty but hit righty, or vice versa, throw righty hit lefty. I always find that, or even in more interesting, pitchers who are listed as switch hitters. That's the real interesting one.
If I was a pitcher, I think I would tell people I was a switch hitter because I know I'm never going to do it. So I just be like, oh yeah, man, I switch hitter. I hit 750 in high school, man. I was so good.
Hey, like that one LSU player who told his coach he had dingers and it didn't hit it all in high school, then hits the homer and was extra and like whatever inning it was. Like just hey, yeah, I hit dingers. I hit
technically you didn't lie.
But imagine, but also too the coach no one having any clue that the guy didn't hit in high school when you recruited him is kind of funny. Like just no clue that he didn't hit in high school. I find that kind of funny. It's like the Red Sox drafting someone and that who's a pitcher and whatever reason they need to hit, and the pitcher goes, yeah, I hit whatever in high school, and they just drafted him. It's like clearly you didn't. Like you're a PO. Nothing against being a PO because you're a really good pitcher, but no, he gets promoted to high A. We're going a little bit off track, but he got promoted to high A. I also do want to stick in high A because I brought this up in our group chat. And I said, when do we talk about Arias getting promoted to Portland? Because I don't want to bring it up too early, but at the same time, like, what he's doing is absurd. And I forget which one of you guys went this week on. I think it was Hunter. Yeah, I was supposed to say, I think it was Hunter. But it's like, when do we talk about Arias getting promoted to Portland? And it's like, yeah, no, this week on the pod. So we're going to talk about it because the run he has been on is absurd. And Arias, obviously, I mean, just the numbers are, we went through the numbers last week, right? So I don't want to just rehash all the numbers. But Arias is still only 19 years old. He's going to be 19 for the rest of the season. He's got a 163 weighted runs created plus in high A, if you guys remember the Roman Anthony statistic I brought up last week. Yeah, there you go. I will just say he's played 26 games in high A. With Salem, he played 36 games last year and he played 19 this year, which would leave him at 55 games. He only needs to play 29 more games to reach 55 games in Greenville. And we saw it with Meyer, we saw it with Anthony kind of when they were running through the system. Around 55 to 65 games is kind of the number before they get moved up. And I was kind of trying to do the math in my head, but 26 games is around the All-Star break, maybe just after the All-Star break. We legitimately could see Arias in Portland this year, and he could get a legitimate stretch in Portland. He could get like a legitimate 2-month stretch in Portland, potentially, like, which is kind of absurd to think about. And I don't want to be like let's set expectations super high, but in like this world where Arias is like an absolute world beater, like he very well could potentially start next year in AAA. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not saying it will. I'm not even saying it should happen. But like, if Arias continues playing at the level he does in Greenville, then goes up to Portland and continues to play well, that's a big if, right? It's a big jump up from Greenville to Portland. Big jump up. But if he continues to play really well in Portland, and he gets 2 months there, he gets like 40 to 50 games there, there's going to be talks of, does Arias start the season in Worcester next year? Which is kind of absurd that we can even project that out for someone who's only going to be 20 years old. And it's a little bit crazy who also started this year in Salem. We saw it a little bit last year with Yassin Garcia, where he started the year in Salem, then goes up to Greenville, and then goes up to Portland. And it wouldn't shock me to see Arias kind of have a similar trajectory. And now we're looking at a Red Sox farm system where you lose Campbell and Meyer, and seemingly Roman Anthony at some point you would have to assume. And Arias has ran away with being the face of the farm system. And we talk about the Red Sox and the Padres maybe making a Duran trade, potentially, at least the Padres being interested in it. And if we want to get DeVries in that deal, here's another issue with getting him. Where the hell does he play? Because he's a shortstop. You don't put him in. He would have to go to Greenville. You have Franklin Arias in Greenville. I don't think he's getting moved off a shortstop anytime soon. So not that that would deter them, but and also too, you could also make the case that like Arias, I think if Arias continues to have this kind of year, you could legitimately make the case Arias is a better prospect. But you could legitimately try to make that. Like, it's not like an outrageous case because of the absurd numbers he's putting up. If you believe Arias can be a shortstop, that's a potential argument that we legitimately could see. And he's already been top 10 in one prospect ranking. So the year he's having is absurd.
I don't think it's that crazy, honestly. He's a year older. He's hitting 100 points higher than Duran at the same level. And like Jake said, ranked 8th in the Keith Law article. I've been very adamant about not taking Keith Law's word for gospel when it comes to prospects. He's phenomenal at his job. He's a great source to have, but he's also trying to cover all the, like, he openly says in his articles, like, he's taking from other people's scouting reports. Like, he got to see David Sandlin pitch. And it was like, he came away with this, he doesn't know what's going on. The thing I always go back to is like 2 or 3 years ago, he saw, I don't remember if it was Luis Perales or Whippleman Gonzalez pitch. And he came out of the outing and he was like, I am so much higher on him, like, than I was a day ago because this was the first time I've ever seen him pitch. And that curveball is the best curveball I've ever seen a prospect throw. And again, he's open about it. He doesn't have complete information all the time about people. That doesn't mean that Franklin Arias doesn't deserve to be that high rated. It's just one of those things where it's like, if I'm going to say don't take his word for gospel when he says a Red Sox prospect isn't that good, I have to also say it when he says a Red Sox prospect is good. But it's gotten to the point with Arias where I would not be shocked if at the end of the year he is the number one prospect in baseball. A couple of the guys ahead of him are going to get promoted to the majors, aren't going to be prospect status anymore. For example, Roman Anthony will leave the number one spot at some point. Hopefully, who knows? Maybe in 4 years he'll still be in AAA, and Craig will say Roman says he's not ready. But it's
you're never letting.
I'm never going to let that go. It really bothers me.
Never going to let it go.
It's so great. It's so.
I
just
want to run through real quick through the top prospects who are going to graduate: Roman Anthony, Bubba Chandler, Jordan Lawler, Andrew Painter, and Jack Caglione. Probably the 5 out of those top 10, at least on MLB.
And obviously, he is not rated 8th on MLB.com, but they also
might be at some point.
Yeah, I was going to say, but they also don't update nearly as much as Keith Law. Like Keith Law just updated. It's very hard to imagine he won't be top 20 when they do their like midseason update. And to me, that even feels low. He's on a 12-game hitting streak. He's getting like multiple hits basically every time. He had a double with 2 outs in the bottom of the 11th inning last night to tie the game for Greenville. Speaking of Miguel Blaze, had a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 10th to tie it up. But he's multiple hits basically every game. He does not strike out basically ever. That isn't stopping him from having good at-bats. He doesn't walk a ton either, but he's still having good at-bats. It's not like he's going up there and first pitch swinging. I mean, sometimes he is, but he's hitting the ball really hard. Even when it's a single, it tends to be a hard hit ball. The defense at shortstop has been phenomenal. It's not just the highlight plays. It is the hard plays that he makes look so routine. Like he just like going across the second base bag and it's all such a seamless transition. And he had one where it was just like he got backed up into the grass and you blink and the ball's at first base. And it's in the first baseman's glove exactly where he was standing. Like the first baseman didn't have to move, and it's just a perfect throw. The defense has been so incredible, which for any shortstop prospect is impressive, in my opinion. Shortstop's probably the hardest position in baseball defensively. There's a reason that was always the position historically where that was like who cares if they can't hit? If they're playing good defense, who cares? And he's doing all the defensive things right. And it's impressive for any prospect. The fact that he is a 19-year-old in high A, also hitting 372, kind of adds to that. Like every time he makes a play defensively, it's like, oh, holy hell. Like he just had a 3-run double last inning, and then he does this, and then the next inning he's going to get a 2-run single. It's ridiculous. And I love the way Greenville's lineup has been set, where he's leading off every game. Sometimes the people right behind him change. Sometimes it's Joe Ferry Rodriguez or Nelly Taylor or Nazan Zanatello or Miguel Blaze. But the bottom of the order, if he's playing, is always Andy Lugo, which I know they say like it's more an indictment on how they view you as a prospect. Like maybe it's not the best thing for Andy Lugo that he's batting 9th, because maybe that's them saying like, we're not too invested in what you do. But it's great for Franklin Arias because Andy Lugo's really good. Like he's hitting 280 something. He gets on base a decent amount. He hits extra bases. So an issue with hitting leadoff in the minors when you're trying to it's great because he's going to get the most at bats, but he doesn't always get at bats with a runner on or with runners in scoring position. Andy Lugo tends to give him a semi-decent amount of chances with runners in scoring position. And it seems like Franklin Arias is very good at it. The moment's not too big for him. Again, defensively, offensively, nothing seems to bother him. And something with shortstop, I know I kind of already touched on it, where it's the position where offense doesn't matter as much. It's such a bonus to have offense. It's kind of going back to like Cedar Rafaela. It's one of those things where your impact isn't always measured offensively, and it's frustrating when there's someone box score watching who's just like, oh, this guy went 1 for 5 with a single. Like, that's terrible. But it's like, yeah, he also saved 2 hits and threw someone out at the plate and whatever it is. And you see that from Arias, even when he doesn't have a big day at the plate, he's making a play offensive or defensively. And we're just kind of spoiled at this point where he's doing both of them every game. But yeah, it's fantastic to see him do everything. And I, again, would not be shocked if he's the top prospect in baseball by the end of the year. And also, wouldn't be shocked if he was promoted relatively soon. So how many games did you say he's played? 26?
Yeah, he's played 26
high.
games. Also, for the record, he's got hits in 21 games. If you take out his first 3 games, he's got hits in 21 of his last 23.
Yeah, that's absurd. Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell both had 54 games in high A. Roman Anthony was considered, he like really flew up the rankings. I don't know where he was considered at that point. I know he was considered one of the best prospects in baseball. But we're at that point with Franklin Arias. He's considered one of the best prospects in baseball. He's performing better than either of them did in high A. Both of them were phenomenal in high A. Neither of them were doing what Franklin Arias is doing. It wouldn't shock me if 54 was the number they were aiming for. I'm sure it was more just a coincidence that Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell were both 54 games. But it wouldn't shock me if that was kind of like the number they're hitting for is like, oh, well, that's where those two got called up. It also wouldn't shock me if he's at 42 games and they're like, all right, what else do we need to see? You're still hitting 380 and like the numbers just keep going up. It's time. You know, I really would not be shocked if that is a move made sooner rather than later. And they'll figure everything else out as they go. Mikey Romero can play multiple positions. I don't think Franklin Arias is moving off shortstop anytime soon, though, especially now with Meyer playing third base for probably the next 2 months. I could see them viewing that as a potential long-term option is Marcelo at third, Franklin Arias at shortstop. And I've seen people talk about how good of a trade chip he is. That's absolutely true. Personally, I would not trade him yet. Not just from the I'm selfish and want him on the Red Sox front, but also, again, I genuinely believe he will be the top prospect in baseball at some point, at least. If you're going to trade him, do it then when all of a sudden it is like undeniable who he is and you can get the world for him. Because yes, there are still log jams. So if that is ever a thing, wait until that moment. But right now, I don't think he should be going anywhere. Personally, I would love to see him in a Red Sox uniform for a very long time. But yeah, it's been one of the most enjoyable things to watch in baseball this year is turning on a Greenville game and watching Franklin Arias get multiple hits every night and get a big hit and make a defensive play. And it doesn't matter if it's the home or the away broadcast, they're going to glow about him for 2 hours. So that's always fun.
I think we've covered Franklin Arias quite extensively. I don't really have a lot more to add on that topic. If we're going to, I know that we're kind of doing this a little bit differently. We're kind of jumping around to bigger players. And so in that vein, as you know, we're talking about Greenville, I wanted to bring up Brooks Brannon, who was named the high A player of the week by minor league baseball this week after he went 11 for 21, 2 homers, 8 RBI, 3 doubles, a triple, 3 strikeouts, no walks. The guy just has ridiculous power. I feel like we've talked about him a lot. The dude is just built like a brick, you know what house, and just like it's awesome to see him put it together consistently. Because again, we're talking about a guy that has had a bunch of injury issues. Has missed time, quite a bit of time over the last couple of years. I feel like he's still really young. He just turned 21 last month. So far on the season, he does just have a 317 on base. He is up to a 422 slugging percentage now. 273 average isn't too bad. Not a lot of walks, only 9 walks in 164 plate appearances. So I think that's like the biggest thing. I think for him to move up to AA at some point, he will have to work on the plate discipline. He will need to draw some more walks. But I think that you're seeing him. He's played he's played a lot more. He's caught a lot more this year than I thought maybe even I would have expected, because there is competition. There's other guys there. Hudson White had a huge week this week too. He had 2 home runs. And we've talked about where is Johan Fran Garcia going to land when he comes off of his, ultimately when he comes off of his rehab. And I think that he, we think he probably ends up being optioned or being activated by Salem. But how long does he realistically stay there? I think that for Brannon, he's got to, is he going to go 11 for 21 every single week? No. Is he going to hit, is he going to hit like crazy like that? I think like is he going to hit 2 home runs every week, 8 every week? No, he's not going to do that. I think that for him to move up to the next level to Portland, we're going to have to see more from him in terms of his plate discipline. And, but I think that like, at a certain point, you can force your way up there if this is just kind of like who you are. But I want to see him take more pitches. And I really do appreciate and like that they're giving him as much of an opportunity at catcher as they can, because I think that if his bat, translates at all at the higher up the big league level, just like a guy who can. He's not going to strike. He's going to strike out a fair amount. He's not going to walk much, but he's just going to hit bombs. As a catcher, as long as his defense is good, there's a place for guys like that in the big leagues. So I hope that he continues to kind of get that opportunity. And wouldn't shock me if we see him in Portland before the end of the year, but he's got some stuff to work on.
Yeah, it's been a special run. 9-game hitting streak, 20 for 36 in the 9 games. It's one of those situations where you feel like he's always had it in him to put up really big offensive numbers. Like we've seen him hit home runs before. We've seen him have big weeks. But I do feel like it's one of those things where, despite his numbers all of a sudden being really strong, 273, 317, 442, he's probably going to still be in high A for a semi-decent amount, because he doesn't have a ton of time there. They're still working him at catcher. I think he's improved a ton there. He won the Defensive Player of the Month, the Red Sox Defensive Player of the Month in the minors in April. It seems like he's throwing guys out much better. The athleticism is still very much there. He's still got some issues with like framing and plate blocking and all that, but it seems like it's all improving. But to me, the big thing is before this 9-game hitting streak, he was hitting 186. It's jumped nearly 100 points to 273. So I do feel like that's something to remember. Is 2 weeks ago, if we were to talk about him, it would have been like, we're seeing some exciting things from Brooks Brannon, like the power looks fun and all that, but he's struggling. He needs to work on this, that, and the other thing. And like you said, the strikeout to walk ratio, not great. But this does feel, obviously, like you said, he's not going to hit 500 every week with multiple homers. And this does feel more like the bat that we expect from Brooks Brannon, though, where he's going to have some ridiculous weeks and he's going to produce a little bit every week. Like I feel like that was very much an adjustment period. He's only 21 years old. He didn't spend a ton of time in single A because of injuries. It was a little surprising that he started this year in high A. Like it wouldn't have been super shocking if he started the year in single A still for a little bit. So it feels like more like that was an adjustment period and that he's figuring things out. And he hits the ball insanely hard. He had an opposite field homer this week that it was just absolutely mollywopped. And then later in the game, he hits one to left field, like he pulls one. I don't think it was a homer, but like just another like 110 mile an hour rocket. So you see the bat, and it's really nice to see that, like you said, they're giving him a chance at catcher. That is not the strongest position in the Red Sox organization. And it really does feel like Johan Fran Garcia will start in Salem whenever that happens. Still kind of confused as to why he's in the FCL so long. Maybe it just, if he's catching basically every day and hitting like 400 there, I don't really know what the weight is, but I'm sure they have their reasons. It could even just be figuring out where he'll go. But it does feel like he'll be in Salem to start, even if it's just for a month, because he still doesn't really have a ton of time there.
Yeah. I don't have too much to add on Brannon. Obviously, you guys kind of covered that really well. I think we have the biggest story to talk about this week in Greenville. Big Al went deep.
And pitched.
Well, that too. Yeah, he also pitched 2-way Al.
Love a good Big Al story.
Yes, we love us some Big Al. Also, Brannon's not the only one who had 2 homers this week with Greenville. Miguel Blaze had a really good week. He hit 2 homers, and then also Hudson White had a couple of homers as well. He had a nice week as well. Played in 4 games, 4 hits, 2 of them homers. So, yeah. Greenville had a little bit of a power surge this week.
Yes. Ian Kundal was at the games. And one of the things that he talked about was, one of the things he mentioned was Miguel Blaze. He said it's one of those things he continuously reminds you how good he is, like that all the tools are there, that he can do literally everything on a baseball field. And sometimes he struggles and things aren't working the best for him. But then he'll have weeks like this where he's making a diving play in right field and he's throwing a runner out in center. That was ridiculous. I know it wasn't the furthest throw if anyone's seen it. Like it was shallow center field to third base. But by the time Miguel Blaze got that ball, the runner was like a third of the way to third. And the ball beat him by like 12 steps. Like it was just an absolute laser to third base. And then obviously he has the 2 home runs. I think he had 3 multi-hit games this week. It's again, we've talked about it a lot. It's so impossible to give up on Miguel Blaze because he'll have these stretches where it's like, oh, wait, he is the fastest guy on the field. And oh, he can hit a ball 440 feet. That first home run he hit this week was insane. And he is one of the better defensive outfielders in the system. So it's all there. And it was good to see Ian Kundal rave about just how good Miguel Blaze is and how talented he is. And then outside of him, just Antonio Anderson had a good week. I know it's Double-A. Shocked that Derrik didn't mention that Alan Castro hit his first home run.
I know, yeah. Alan Castro had a huge week. Like, didn't come up.
6 for 19.
What's going on? You're shirking your duties.
No, I'm not. No, I had a itch to talk about Franklin Arias because
going to introduce articles of impeachment against the president.
Yeah. Well, hold on. We also too. Well, I'll also add. We are also changing things up a little bit this week. So
yes.
True. We're bouncing around a little bit. So
yeah.
We're bouncing around.
And then I do just want to quickly mention Adam Smith, because I feel like we have not talked about him. He had a very bad April, but he had a nearly perfect May. 15 innings, 7 hits, 1 run, 17 strikeouts, 4 walks. ERA is under 5. Batting average against is 225, 31 strikeouts compared to 11 walks and 27 in the third innings. Again, the April was really rough, but this was just a ridiculous entire month of May. So that's a big story that I feel like we haven't really covered, because it's one of those things where when you're looking at the stats were never great, like season wise. So it's someone that you kind of just skip over, and it's like you forget that, oh yeah, he threw 5 shutout innings in relief this week. But yeah, just a ridiculous month from Adam Smith, and I would have felt bad if I did not mention him.
Adam Smith very much feels like a name that is like of a baseball player who would be from a small school. It's very much has that feeling.
It's about as common a name as you can have.
That is no offense to him, that is one of the more generic names you're going to find.
The first dude, Adam, right, and then Smith. It's like the most common. It's like I don't know how you get more common than that. So yeah, if we're
Noah Song
is doing stuff. He's doing Noah Song stuff. I assume we'll see him activated at some point, or if is he off of the rehab assignment yet, or no?
No, he's made 2 rehab. It's still technically a rehab appearance, right, in Salem. It's not like he was optioned to Salem. Yeah. But yeah, he's thrown 4 perfect innings in Salem so far in 2 appearances, 6 strikeouts. So it feels like they should be getting him out of there tomorrow, because I know it's 4 innings, but it's a 27-year-old. Let's move him up. You know, he's already pitched all the way in AAA with Philly. So let's get him to high A for 2 weeks, get him to Double-A, and have him sit there for a little bit until he figures everything out.
Yeah. If we're talking about Salem, I will mention the thing we've been waiting for was Justin Gonzalez to hit his first home run in affiliated ball, and it finally happened this past week. It was an oppo bomb in Salem. It's just, I don't know how anybody hits home runs there. Like, it's just it's just the park is great, and the view is incredible of the mountains and everything like that, but man, it's like the wall is like slightly smaller than the Green Monster, I assume, but it's all the way around the park. Like, there's no break, there's no power alley in that ballpark. You want to hit a home run at that park in Salem, no matter what time of year, it is not a cheapie. And so for him to like take that pitch, take it the opposite field, drive it out of the park, that was awesome to see. As we know, Gonzalez only had one game in FCL, and then he got promoted to Salem. And so far, on the season, he is hitting 261, 402 on base is fantastic. I think I think he's probably like I would be very interested if we talk to Ian or somebody else, like, to see what the kind of under the hood numbers look like so far with Gonzalez, because he's up to 19 games played, so it's a decent enough sample. But I assume that the Red Sox are very pleased with the fact that he has 14 walks and 15 strikeouts so far. He has 3 doubles in the home run that he hit this week, but I think that from everything I've seen, like, he's hitting all of the check marks that you would want to see an 18-year-old hit in his first taste of affiliated ball. And if you saw the home run that he hit this past week, the ball still is jumping off of his bat. So this could definitely be a situation where, and I don't know if he would play in Greenville this year at 18. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I would just say that, like, the back of the baseball card stats are maybe not going to be what to pay attention. That's never really what to pay attention to in Salem, but just like, you're seeing, like, the approach seems like it's so stellar for an 18-year-old, and you combine that with his physique, his power, the fact that he's like a man already, like, just like we talk about built like a brick S house, like, that is what we're seeing with Justin Gonzalez. And so first of many in affiliated ball that I assume that we're going to see home runs from Justin Gonzalez that happened this past week.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number, but wasn't it like 430 feet and 100 something? It was ridiculous. Yeah, to hit that opposite field, especially as an 18-year-old, just absurd. Yeah, the defense has been like okay, not okay. He's had some games where he looked really comfortable out there. He had a play this week where he just, like, the ball bounced in front of him, and I honestly just think he didn't know where the ball was and it went past him. But he's 18 years old. They have him playing center and right. I still think that he should be getting time at first base at some point. That was his main position in the DSL last year. And I know that that's not like the sexiest position for a prospect, but the man is massive and he's got the power for the position. And the Red Sox don't have a ton of options at first base long run. Obviously, we've talked about Blaze Jordan. But I don't think it would be a bad thing to have him playing a little bit more first base. And then the other big story, single A this week, was Fraley Encarnacion, 5 for 10, double homer. Big thing was he walked 4 times compared to just 1 strikeout. That's been his biggest problem this year. He's slashing 303, 363, 566. He's got a ton of doubles and homers. He's driven in 32 runs, but he only has 39 strikeouts compared to 11 walks. So it was good to see that improve. And then Chris Hatfield of Sox Prospects reported that Fraley Encarnacion was getting promoted to high A. Another one where it felt like this was overdue. He spent all last year in single A. He's been the best hitter in the Carolina League this year. And he's been one of the few bright spots in the Salem lineup, especially since Franklin Arias left. So it'll be interesting to see every week when we come on here before the week. We always are trying to talk about what we're going to talk about at each level. And Salem is always kind of the one where we're like, we could talk about Fraley and like, oh, Justin Gonzalez. Like this week, it was like, oh, Justin Gonzalez hit a homer. But Salem has not been the most exciting team to watch this year. And they're now losing who's been easily their best hitter over the last month. So it'll be interesting to see who steps up for Salem. Maybe Justin Gonzalez, maybe that home run gets him going. But if this felt more than overdue for Encarnacion, he plays a semi-decent amount of first base. So I think that there's a very clear spot for him in Greenville, especially with Brooks Brannon tending to catch anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how he does there, because the high strikeout, low walk rate, obviously, again, that's improving. That he had a very good week with that. But that is something that as you go up higher levels, that can start to create more holes in your bat. There's you're facing better pitching. There's going to be less. Oh, he threw me a 90-mile-an-hour fastball right down the plate. Most guys in single A are throwing 97, but there's going to be more control. So it'll be interesting to see if he can continue to improve the walk rate, if he can continue to be a good hitter with a lot of pop. You would assume that the power will continue. He's leaving the worst ballpark in the world when it comes to hitting home runs and going to a very home run friendly park. But yeah, this just like Blaze, this felt like it was a couple weeks overdue.
Yeah, can we also talk about how Justin Gonzalez makes people look like midgets?
It's hilarious. Speaking of Fraley Encarnacion, he's like listed like 2 inches shorter than him.
Yeah,
and he's not. He's not.
Yeah, Justin Gonzalez is such a monster. And I have to imagine that Justin Gonzalez is not done growing, potentially.
Yes.
He might grow another inch or two.
Which
totally nuts.
Speaking of height and weight, MLB.com needs to fix Yastinson Garcia. That man is not 165 pounds.
No.
That man looks like he ate the old version of Yastinson Garcia. And I'm not saying he's fat. Small. I'm saying that is a built man. He is 190 pounds of muscle at least. Like, that is not a 165 pound man.
I agree.
I'm 165 pounds. Like, no, we're not doing that. I am the same listed height and weight as Yastinson Garcia, and I couldn't look any different than him. So they're lying. Is he 6 foot or 6'1"?
Not sure on that.
I think he's 6 foot. If he's 6 foot, I'm the same.
I think they list him at 6 foot.
A Sox prospect hasn't listed at 6 foot.
Okay, so yeah, I'm the same.
Definitely not 165.
I'm the same listed height and weight as him, and he is
much
bigger than me.
No, absolutely not. I do want to just direct check in a couple of notes. Isaac Covey made another appearance, another scoreless appearance. So it's 2 appearances for him in Portland. And then also, I don't think we talked about it last week. I don't know if it had broken by the time we recorded, but Zach Penrod has now made 3 appearances in Worcester, 2 of them coming this week. And he has yet to give up an earned run as well. He has started all of his appearances, but he's only gone 2 2/3 innings and 3 starts, which somewhat makes me think that they're going to line him up for a bullpen role again, which wouldn't be that surprising. But
he had control problems in his last outing, so he did not get through the first.
Yeah. And we're seeing the Red Sox are, unfortunately, as we're recording this game, the Red Sox, Richard Fett's not pitching well, and we're probably, it's probably going to be a long outing out of the bullpen for Hunter Dobbins potentially. But I think, like, again, cycling guys through in the minor leagues and the major leagues. Now that Penrod is healthy, he's on the 40-man. I think you'll probably see him in the big league sooner rather than later. It might not be for a long period of time. Obviously, we just saw Luis Guerrero come up for Justin Slayton. Doesn't sound like, hopefully, fingers crossed, the Slayton injury is just he'll be on the IL for 15 days and then come back. But I think Penrod is somebody that we've seen that he can be really nasty. And I would, and he's also somebody that I don't think the Red Sox would feel relatively comfortable with him once they feel like he's back and, being himself and stuff, that he could get to, he could be a guy that could go for a couple innings potentially. And then if we're talking about rehabbers, Chris Murphy is back, which is super exciting. He pitched in Greenville. That's our guy. Same thing. I assume that he will, do his rehab, probably get added back to the 40-man and then option to Worcester. I don't think he would go right to the big leagues, but it's been a long time since we've seen Chris Murphy pitching in a game. So that was really awesome to see. And he looked really good too.
Yeah. The curveball especially looks fantastic. 2 in 2 outings, 2 1/3, 1 hit, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He's also started both of the games, but that's just, it's rehab starts. You're putting them at the start of the game so that they, 1, get a clean inning, and 2, that they're getting into the game. I asked him after his first outing, and he literally said he had no idea what the plan was. Not in like a negative way, but like I think it's more, because that's not even a negative on the Red Sox. I think they're, you evaluate where someone's at before you make moves. So who knows if, I can't imagine he needs more outings in high A. I would love for him to be in AAA by the time the Red Sox play in Lehigh Valley next week. But yeah, he's looked really good. He doesn't know what the plan is at the moment, but it's very positive. And another guy who is on the 40-man, though I'm sure the plan will be when he gets off the 60-day will be to option him to AAA. But just another guy like Penrod who they can cycle through the majors and give them some outings and try to keep the bullpen fresh and try to keep some fresh arms, because that has been a seriously big issue with the Red Sox this year is the bullpen usage has been egregiously high, and it is not going to get help today when your starter goes 1 inning. So yeah, just having more healthy options on the 40-man is going to be huge for the Red Sox.
Yeah, oh gosh, easily. I did also realize, Sox Prospects, I don't know if this is new, but they have a new like label next to guys for like injured players that says that's for in Fort Myers. So it's interesting. Drohan's in Fort Myers. So that's so like stuff like that I did find interesting. It seems relatively new. But like you look at the injured list for like Greenville, Paez and Jojo and Gracia are both in Fort Myers, but like Juan Valera isn't. So maybe that means Valera's injury isn't that long term. Well, at least I would hope that's what it means. Because I would assume he's still with the team, so I'm hoping that means it's not anything significant. But yeah, I just saw that and I was curious about that. Yeah, I don't have anything. I think we kind of covered everything. I feel like I don't think we have a ton else to really talk about.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to jump quickly to FCL/DSL minute. So DSL season opened today. I don't know if I didn't see any reports on if a game happened or not, but today was the first day of their schedule. So FCL, we mentioned Johan Garcia is still, his rehab is ongoing. We don't know how long that's going to go. He did hit a home run this past week. There was a home run this week for Jorge Rodriguez as well, who I think is listed as a catcher. Another good start for Yoiker Fajardo, our guy. 3 innings, 2 hits, one run unearned, two walks and 6 strikeouts. So 6 strikeouts in 3 innings, really good. And I had one other was Yoelvin Chirino had a good start. He went 3 innings. He had 7 strikeouts and 3 walks. So that's all I had on the FCL side.
Yeah, there was a kind of case and update, or at least I was looking at Sox Prospects and on their like just their homepage. We scroll down to Kaysen. It said he has not pitched since May 3rd or hit since May 5th due to fatigue. And then from Alex Spear that he'll likely progress faster back to game action on the position player side. So I wonder if he's going to only be position playing. I would assume they're just going to DH him, but like who knows? Maybe they do chuck him at short for a couple games. But if it's an arm fatigue thing, then I would assume they're still not going to chuck him at short. But it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
I don't know if you said this, Jake, but Johan Garcia hit a home run today too.
Oh,
I was literally just looking.
I didn't get that. I had only looked at the previous like 7-day stats. So there you go. Yeah, I always forget that they play on Mondays, like that their off day I think is Sunday.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I got to yell at Craig, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
I got to say my piece about Saydon. Yeah, I'm happy with the yelling that I did today. I
had to get it out.
Yes,
you can't leave that bottled up for too long.
I've been trying the Jake method of not being on Twitter as much during the day. Like if I don't have to be, I'm like don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially today, I went on.
I've done a lousy job of that myself recently.
I went on because I was playing basketball and there's a baseball field right next to it. And I always have a glove and ball in my car because you never know when someone's going to want to throw a baseball. And I always want to do that. And there is a baseball field right there and there was no one on it. And I wanted to see if I could still throw from center field. No warm up, nothing. I was like, I'm going to blow my arm out, but I want to see. Semi-decent throw. It got the home. I posted the video. I was proud of it. But I posted it and I immediately saw all the renewed Rafael Devers talk because he was like catching at shortstop today. He was like taking grounders at shortstop, just sticking around. Yeah. And it was like he's having fun. And people immediately were like, oh, he's going to play first, especially with the Christian Campbell stuff. And I was like, all right, this this is why I'm trying to stay off Twitter when I don't need to be, because this is insane. And I started posting more on Blue Sky. I tried to start posting videos on Blue Sky because the one day Twitter just wasn't working because, surprise, Elon Musk is breaking something. So I was like, I'm going to start trying to post on there a little bit more. But yeah, it was nice to kind of just unplug from Twitter today. And I feel like I made the right choice because literally the first like 5 tweets I saw were Rafael Devers should play first base again. And it's like, how does this keep getting brought up? Especially with David Ortiz today saying, hey, let him be the DH.
Yeah.
And then just Cedar Rafaela talk. And I was like, I don't need to be here for this.
Yeah.
See, sometimes I feel lucky that I've made my Twitter algorithm somehow to where they're on my like following, like who I'm following is a lot of Red Sox people, but somehow my For You page, not a lot of Red Sox stuff pops up.
You're very, very lucky in that regard.
So the only other issue is though I get a lot of wrestling stuff, and sometimes that can be
wrestling discourse is bad. Oh, it's so bad.
All right, so you guys will have plenty of time to talk about wrestling the next couple of weeks.
I just say so it just because Red Sox Twitter is bad, other parts of Twitter are arguably just as bad, if not worse. So it's just bad as a whole, I think. But with that, we're gonna continue to deviate from our normal. We can count this towards the guest prospect score if we want. It's not really guest prospect. We're doing our minor league show edition of The Price is Right. Sort of.
This is
kind of.
We have not been briefed on this.
People watching this on YouTube.
They have not been briefed.
This has not been. We have no idea. I have no idea what's.
They have no idea what's coming. So every year, obviously, the Red Sox when they go into the MLB draft, they have a certain allotment of money that they are allowed to spend. So with that, I'm going to get both of your guesses on just how much money the Red Sox can spend in this draft. So I'll preface this by going through the picks the Red Sox have. They have the 15th pick in the first, and then the only changes in terms of additional picks or losing picks is that they lost their second round pick due to signing Alex Bregman. Yes, I was having a brain fart due to signing Alex Bregman. But they received the 75th pick for losing Nick Pivetta to free agency. And then they also acquired the 33rd pick from Milwaukee in that I'm calling it the Yoferi Rodriguez trade because that's what it is now. So the number we'll be looking for is the bonus pool cap plus 5%, which is the max the Red Sox will be able to spend pretty much. Don't go over.
I was going to say, so it's Price is Right rules, right? Closest without going over. Do we write them down, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
That way it's not like one of us says 80 million and then the other's just like $1.
That was what I was going to do.
Which now I'm kind of thinking about doing $1.
So, yes, right. I guess if you want to write it down, you can. That might be the best way to do this. They have not been, like I said, they have not been briefed on this. Since this is out of left field, we're changing it up here in our episode of changing things up. So, obviously, there's 20 rounds. The Red Sox have 21 picks in those 20 rounds. But obviously, the last 10 rounds, the 150,000 doesn't count towards the bonus pool.
Okay. I feel like I should know it off the top of my head, but I don't. So this is a good question.
Yes. Get our thinking brains activated today.
All right, I have my number.
Jake has his number. I can see it feels like Hunter's writing something down, so I feel like he's writing it down. I feel like Hunter's gonna write down something like with like just instead of writing something with like a bunch of zeros, it's gonna be just like completely random numbers on the back end. That's what
I didn't. I have a basic number.
Okay.
All right. Who wants to reveal first?
Well, why don't you just count to 3 and we'll both hold up.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. Actually, just reveal them for people on YouTube. You'll
get to see. I have
12 million for Hunter,
and I wrote 10 million and $1.
And $1 for Jake.
That's
the number.
That's Dr. Evil, by the way.
Hunter with the little, this little drawing.
$1 million.
With that, the bonus pool cap plus 5% number sits at 13,029,765, which means Hunter gets it. Even if we went off if we just went off the bonus pool cap, that's just under 12.5 million. So
I am not. I don't think that should count towards the guess the prospect.
we don't have to count it, but
It's a
I feel we
different
change it
game,
up a little bit.
but
It is a totally different game.
Yeah. All right.
But yes, there's your game of the week, I guess. For this week, feel like changing it up a little bit.
I like it.
Guess the prospect. We'll be back at some point, obviously. We will have a little bit of a twist, though. Guess the prospect, even in Jake's absence. Guess the prospect will be back next week with a twist. We're excited for. At least I'm excited for it.
I'm going to count those towards me winning.
No, that's wow. I feel really disrespected on that. No.
So, yes, with that, that's our game. I guess not against the prospect, but like I said, it will be back next week, even in Jake's absence. We have a nice little plan for Guess the Prospect. With that, we're going to wrap things up. So as always, for Hunter and Jake, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to the Pesky Report, and we will see you next time.